In 1964, an American archaeologist surveyed a low hill in southeastern Turkey, noted some broken limestone slabs, and wrote it off as a medieval cemetery. He walked away from the most important archaeological site on Earth. 30 years later, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt climbed the same hill. He knew within minutes what he was standing on. He would later say he had two choices that day: walk away or spend the rest of his life digging. What lay under his feet was a monument built 11,500 years ago, 6,000 years before Stonehenge, 7,000 before the pyramids, built by people who, according to everything we thought we knew, should not have been able to build anything at all. And here is the part that still keeps archaeologists up at night. The people who built it are also the people who buried it, deliberately, and nobody knows why. The hill is called Gobekli Tepe, Potbelly Hill. From a distance it's nothing, a rounded mound on a limestone ridge above the Harran Plain, an hour from the Syrian border. When Schmidt began digging in 1995, the first thing his team found was a pillar, not a rough standing stone, a cleanly carved T-shaped column of limestone taller than a man. Then another, then a ring of them, connected by stone benches and walls, enclosing two central pillars over 5 meters tall and weighing perhaps 10 tons each. Then the radiocarbon dates came back. The oldest layers were built around 9500 BC. To feel why that number detonated a century of textbooks, you need the timeline it broke. The story of civilization used to run in one direction: first agriculture, then villages, then surplus, then, last of all, temples and monuments. Organized religion was supposed to be a product of settlement, a luxury. The people of 9500 BC had none of that. No farms, agriculture hadn't been invented. No pottery, no metal tools, every cut in that limestone was made with flint. No wheel, no writing, no beasts of burden. They were hunter-gatherers, small mobile bands, following gazelle herds and wild wheat across the hills. And yet, someone brought hundreds of workers to a waterless hilltop, quarried 10-ton pillars, moved them hundreds of meters, raised them into engineered rings, and did it again and again for more than 1,000 years. The textbook said temples come after civilization. Gobekli Tepe says a temple may have come first. Look closely at the pillars, and the sight gets stranger. The T-shapes are not abstract. Look at one straight on. The long face is a body, the crossbar a head seen in profile. Some have arms carved along their sides, hands meeting over a belt buckle, a fox pelt loincloth. These are figures, beings, faceless ones. Around them, the limestone crawls with animals. Not the animals these people ate. The bones on site are mostly gazelle and wild cattle. The carvings are predators and vermin, snakes pouring down pillar faces like water, scorpions, spiders, snarling foxes, vultures with spread wings. One pillar, number 43, the so-called vulture stone, is carved edge to edge with vultures, scorpions, and a headless human figure. On top of it sit rows of strange handbag-shaped objects nobody has convincingly explained. Some researchers read the whole panel as a story. If they're right, it's one of the oldest stories ever told, and we can't read it. This is where Klaus Schmidt made the claim that made him famous. He called Gobekli Tepe first the temple, then the city. His idea, it wasn't farming that gathered humanity, it was belief. Hundreds of people congregating to build and worship needed feeding. Wild wheat still grows on these hillsides, some of the earliest domesticated wheat strains traced to this exact region. In Schmidt's telling, agriculture wasn't the cause of places like this. It was the side effect. Not everyone agrees, and honestly, that's fair. Newer excavations found what looked like houses and rainwater cisterns, so people may have lived here year-round, and the neat word temple has been fading from the site reports. In the last decade, a dozen sibling sites with the same T-pillars, Karahan Tepe the most dramatic, have surfaced across the region. This wasn't one sanctuary, it was a culture, and we've excavated maybe 5% of it. Now, the strangest fact of all. Around 10,000 years ago, the enclosures stopped being used. They weren't abandoned to the wind, and they weren't destroyed by an enemy. They were filled in. Layer by layer, the rings disappeared under thousands of cubic meters of rubble, flint chips, and animal bone. The debris reads less like garbage than like closure, the way you decommission something sacred. Why would people bury their own monument? There are theories that each enclosure died with a generation or a leader and was ritually entombed. That burial itself was the point, a seed planted in the hill. That newer research is right, and some of the fill slid downslope naturally, and the truth is a messy mix of ritual and gravity. Every one of these is an educated guess. None of them is an answer. The builders left no writing, because writing wouldn't exist for another 5,000 years. Whatever the reason was, it walked out of history with them. But here's the beautiful irony. The burial is the only reason we have the site at all. Exposed limestone erodes, buried limestone sleeps. The act we can't explain is the act that preserved the evidence for 11 millennia, relief still crisp enough to show the individual feathers on a vulture's wing. When Schmidt died suddenly in 2014, he had spent 19 years on the hill and excavated a fraction of it. Ground-penetrating radar shows at least 15 more enclosures still in the dark under the mound. Some are probably older than anything yet uncovered. Gobekli Tepe rewrote the beginning of civilization. Monuments before metal, gathering before grain, belief, perhaps, before bread. And 95% of it is still underground, waiting. But not every lost world is hiding under a hill. Some are hiding under water. 8,000 years ago, between Britain and Denmark, there was a country, hills, rivers, settlements, people. Today it's the bottom of the North Sea, and fishing boats keep pulling human tools out of their nets. It was called Doggerland. That story is on your screen now. And if tonight's mystery held you, a like helps more people find the deep past, and subscribing brings you a new story every week. I'll see you down there.